But who better than me?
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to part 2, the history of fraud, the fall of fraud. With your host, Face the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. Look, big apologies for the delay. I won't get into all of the particulars, but I had a bit of a family emergency earlier on today. So I've been at the hospital for about the last 4.5 hours or so. I had another bit of content I had to sort of do before this, hence why this has been pushed back half an hour, but we're here. Also, while we are here, I wanted to give members of, the Fury fan club, the Furomaniacs, I think they're known as, and just people who believe that Tyson Fury would win this fight. I wanted to give them a fair voice in this particular scenario and this situation. So before I get to all the stuff that I'ma get to, I felt it was only right to bring someone else into the chat. And who better than one of my best sparring partners on YouTube, one of my, a guy that has really become a good friend, a good acquaintance, a good associate of mine in this boxing space. We very rarely agree on a lot of stuff, especially where Tyson Fury is involved, but it's always respectful. It's always just passionate, and maybe sometimes a bit charged in debate. So I'm going to bring him in a moment. Couple ground rules before obviously I do bring him in. Again, this is someone that I know I respect in this YouTube space, someone that's been doing it a lot more than me, very credible, great guy. So say what you want in the chat, but make sure that you represent this community the right way, and you make sure that anything you do say is said with respect and courtesy to both myself and him. Yeah, if you disagree, fine, you can disagree, but you know where the line is. We're all adults here. I ain't got to baby nobody. So with that being said, I want to shout out to my guy, Mr. Joe Habib. I told him to pull up and he pulled up. So Joe, how you doing, man?
Base, I'm doing great. I just want to make sure you're doing okay.
I'm very well.
Okay, very good. How's the family? The family okay?
Well, you know what? We'll talk about that off air. Everything
I want to get personal. I just want to
no. Everything is fine in the general sense, but there's a few more things going on than we was expecting. So hence why everything's been pushed back today.
Well, I actually lost my job today as president of the Furomaniacs when they found out that I scored the fight for Usyk. They fired me. It's no hard feelings, of course. I still respect the team. Everyone has a right to their opinion. I just think that by denigrating Fury, it takes away from Usyk's win. I do think when you look at the heavyweight division, there's roughly 1,800 registered heavyweights in the world at any given time. If you're in the top 2, top 3, even top 5 of those, you're a very good fighter. And I would argue if you're in the top 3, I think you're an elite fighter. I think AJ's an elite fighter. I think Usyk is a supreme elite fighter. I think Tyson Fury's an elite fighter. You make a great point with Wilder, because Wilder really never beat another elite fighter. Like Joshua did beat another elite fighter in Klitschko. You can argue, when it was, whatever, but he beat him. Joshua is a great fighter. He was multiple-time world champion. He lost the title and he won it back. The Ruiz fight, the first time, I think that was no disrespect to Ruiz, I think that was a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I think if they fought 10 times, I think Joshua probably won 9 out of the 10 times. So I don't want to take anything away from Ruiz, but I just think whatever the case would be, that was just a kind of an aberration. No disrespect to Ruiz. Tyson Fury, he gives you a lot to criticize him about. After the Klitschko fight, he walked away. probably would have got suspended anyways because of the PED situation. So he would have been out for 2 years anyways. But the thing about Tyson Fury, what I think always made him a great fighter and an elite fighter, and he's going in the Hall of Fame. You know he's going in the Hall of Fame. You know AJ's going in the Hall of Fame. You know Usyk's going in the Hall of Fame. All three of them are going in the Hall of Fame. And hell, Wilder may even go. I'm not 100% sure on that. He won't go first ballot. Those other three guys I mentioned, they're going in first ballot. AJ's an Olympic gold medalist, two-time heavyweight champion, unified. He's going in. Fury's going in. I mean, he beat another Hall of Fame fighter. And when he beat Wilder, he wasn't expected to beat Wilder. He's gone against the odds many times. Problem with Fury has been his inconsistencies. Problem with Fury has been that obviously a lot of things he says come back to bite him. And even after this fight, the whole Ukraine thing, I thought was a pretty tasteless comment at the end of the fight. My only argument with this thing is if anyone is going to say that Fury wasn't a good champion, he wasn't a formidable foe, all it's going to do is just take away from Usyk's win. And I don't think that's fair to Usyk, to be honest with you. I mean, everyone can have the right to their own opinion, but Fury showed in this fight clearly that he's an elite fighter. This was a great fight. This was a competitive fight. This was a historic fight. This was one of the best heavyweight fights I've seen in the last 10, 20 years. And I've seen a lot of them. So it takes two to do that. And without Fury, it wouldn't have been that. Usyk clearly showed that he's the best heavyweight of this era. He really has. I thought that was a phenomenal performance. And what makes this so special with Usyk is not only the skill, but giving up that size advantage. And actually, if I was the referee in that 9th round, I would have stopped the fight. Fury was fortunate. But on the flip side of that, I've interviewed Steve Smoger, one of the greatest referees of all time, and he says, it's not a copy, cut and paste situation with all fighters. You have to look at the reputation of the fighter. Fury does have a reputation of being severely hurt in fights and being able to regroup and gather himself and come back. But this was probably the worst I've ever seen him hurt. His legs were gone. If you look at the punch that landed, it actually landed on his, like, the temple area, so to speak. Some people say it landed on the chin. I went back and watched it 3 times. It landed like right here, and it was a punch that he didn't see coming. And Usyk was throwing the straight left early and consistently. And this time he actually threw this. It was almost like a punch that Triple G used to throw. Remember that Triple G used to throw that right hand, and he would come down like that, and he would actually hit you with this part of the knuckle. These 2 knuckles are the hardest part of the fist. And Usyk and Triple G both landed with this knuckle. So that was a monstrous punch. And I thought Fury was out. But I also thought in the 6th round, I don't think Usyk was out. But I thought in the 6th round, he was going. Like, I thought the tide was turning. And I thought, like, I was saying to myself, he may go next round or the round after. Like, I didn't see him being able to turn this fight around. So if you think Fury's a fraud, then that's your opinion. But I think by saying that, you're taking away from how great this victory was from Usyk. And I think that's it. I just think it's not what should be focused on today. What should be focused on today was what a great fight this was, what a great accomplishment Usyk did by winning this fight and becoming undisputed. And that's my position. And the whole scorecard thing, again, the right man won. I actually scored the fight identical to, who was it? Mike Fitzgerald. I have the identical scorecard to him. Could you make an argument that I'll just explain my scorecard. Like, I thought rounds 2, 3, and 12 were swing rounds. I thought those were swing rounds. I thought Usyk clearly won rounds 1, 8, 9, 10, and 11, right? I thought Fury clearly won rounds 4, 5, 6, and 7. So Fury had 4 clear rounds. I thought Usyk had 5, and I thought there was 3 swing rounds. I gave round 2 to Usyk, and I gave round 3 to Fury, and I gave round 12 to Fury. Now, 2 of the judges gave round 2 to Fury. Two of the judges gave round. Actually, two of the rounds gave round two to Fury, and then in round three, two of the judges gave it to Usyk. So that just shows you the judges agreed on six of the rounds. Round four, two of the judges gave to Fury. So rounds 5, 6, and 7, they all gave to Fury. Round 8, they all gave to Usyk. Round 9, they all gave to Usyk. Round 10, they all gave to Usyk. Round 11, one judge gave it to Fury. I don't think Fury won round 11. Round 12, all three judges gave it to Fury. So again, when we talk about robberies, we talk about bad scorecards. When people give their scorecards, everyone has all different rounds they gave fighters, right? So unless we have all of us can say we gave all 7 rounds to one fighter clear, like that David Benavidez fight, all of us pretty much gave 7 clear rounds to David Benavidez. So there's really a hard path to victory, or for Caleb Plant fight, because we all gave him 7 identical rounds. Like I think everyone must have given him round 7 through 12 in that fight. It was hard to not do that, right? But in this fight, some people gave Fury round 2. Some people gave him 2 and 3. Again, it's not hard to have 6 rounds for Fury in this fight. So because this fight was so competitive, and even Steve Kim, Mike Montero, they said this fight was close. A lot of people said this fight was close. So I don't really think people should be angry about the scorecards. But again, if you want to be, it's your decision. I do think this was a close, competitive fight with a clear winner, which was Usyk. And with all that being said, to have this fight as close and competitive as it was, and for Fury to, even if you thought Fury should have been stopped in that 9th round, the heart and courage and determination right then and there shows you what type of person this is. Now, outside the ring, you may not like him, but inside the ring, I think he commands respect. I just think he commands respect inside the ring. So you have the floor to
Okay.
criticize anything I just said.
No, do you know what? I agree with a lot of what you said, not all of it, obviously, but here is where I'm going to challenge several points you made. So, all right, if we talk about quote unquote robberies, now look, I admit not all fights are robberies, not all robberies are created equal. But to me, for this fight to have been potentially scored as a split decision draw, if it wasn't for Usyk getting that knockdown, which really should have been a knockout, to me would have been a travesty. Now, you say that you found 6 rounds that you found to Tyson Fury. Personally, I've watched the fight 4 times. While I was live scoring it, I was on the live stream. Everyone saw me. I was scoring in between each round. I was particularly actually trying to score the fight more harshly towards Alexander Usyk to try and placate any potential bias that someone may say that I had. That second round, I'm sorry, the second round is not a swing round, and all of the stats back up the fact that Usyk won the second round, the same as he quite clearly won the first. Although for some reason there's people saying that Fury won the first round. I know there was a lady on your stream that said that. I don't know where she got that from, but fine. The third round, I can understand, because I was looking at it in the moment, and I said Fury's been a lot better in this round, but Usyk is still more consistent. So Fury's had better spurts, but Usyk is more consistent, and he's still the one pushing Fury back, imposing his will, forcing Fury onto the ropes. So I said, okay, I'm going to give this one to him, but I'll understand if it goes the other way. Rounds 4, 5, and 6, clear Fury rounds, no debates, no discussion. Anyone who tries to say otherwise, they're on something. Round 7 was a very competitive round, right? But even round 7, I've known a lot of people gave it to Usyk for clean work, but I still gave it to Fury because I felt he was more impactful with his shots. He didn't land as many as Usyk did in that round, but it was more impactful. Okay, so you give him that one. So for me right now, I've got Tyson Fury 4 rounds to 3 up. Round 8, clear Usyk round, although I've seen some people try to argue that one towards Fury as well. So I'm like, okay, how do you get to that? But okay, I'll let them say what they're saying. Round 9. Now, this is actually for me is interesting. If it wasn't for, and I actually, up until the point where, you know, Alexander Usyk is pinging Tyson Fury all over the ring, I actually was edging Fury in the round. I thought he was doing a much better job. They was both competitive. It was nip and tuck, but Fury was ahead. And I was ready to give him that up until you see what you saw. And at that point, you say, okay, 10-8 clear round for him. Round 10, again, Fury is trying to survive the majority of this round. Usyk's not piling on huge amounts of pressure, but he's applying the pressure just because he's obviously exerted a lot of energy in round 9. But round 10, clear Usyk round. To me, round 11, even though Fury's starting to get his legs back, Usyk again, he's still working. He's the only one that's doing all of the work. And Fury's trying to steal a moment here or there. Not enough to win a round for me. But some people, for some reason, wanted to give that to Fury. Round 12. Now, this one, every single judge gave Tyson Fury the 12th round. But again, when you look at the punch stats, when you look at the clean shots landed by both guys, you see the effective aggression. You see everything, every metric in the 12th round still leads towards Alexander Usyk, except for 2 flurries where Fury managed to land, I think, 2 shots in one and 3 shots in the other. But again, even in the 12th round, Usyk outlanded and outscored him. Now, I want to ask you a question. So outside of the scorecards, because to me, I think it was 8. I think it was 8-4. However, I'm happy. I even wrote down, you know, if someone says that they've got it 6 rounds apiece, 113, 114 to Usyk, 112, 115, 111, 116, I didn't really have an issue with that. The issue for me came when that scorecard for Tyson Fury came out reading 114, 113.
I don't agree with that card.
Right, because ultimately what you're trying to tell me is people found rounds for Tyson Fury that weren't there. So when I say that Usyk had to stop the robbery from being in place, that fight should have never been a split decision. It shouldn't even have been a majority. It should have been a unanimous, even if you have it 6 rounds apiece, because Usyk took it out of the judge's hands, essentially. But a judge still managed to find that round. So that's why I say, you know, the robbery was set to be in. It's not that, oh, it wasn't a close fight or that there weren't close rounds. No, it's the fact that even though it was a competitive fight, there was clearly one winner, and they tried to change that course of history. And even you, as the president of the former president of the Fury Maniacs,
I got fired. I got an email this morning telling me my services are no longer needed. But
there you go. So the P45 president, even you would have to concede that everybody within the industry, TNT Sports, ESPN, even though they weren't really hosting the show, but DAZN, possibly even Sky Sports, but Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn, every single person was rooting for Tyson Fury to win that fight. Even His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh said he wanted Tyson to win because he wants the AJ fight next year. So the incentive, I'm not saying anyone was bribed or bought off, but we can definitely say there is clear cause to look at potentially those judges being influenced to score favorably any rounds that they deemed close towards Tyson Fury, because there was a lot more at stake in the end. So yes or no? Well, I just want to ask you that first of all.
Yeah, what I have said in the past is, can we prove that judges are taking money? Can we prove that people are going to judges and telling them what to do? I think there is a subconscious A-side bias in fights. I'm not going to discount that. I think there is. And I think there may have been that with the Canadian judge here. I think he was a little bit off. When I looked at round 2, when I looked at round 12, and Steve Weisfeld is a guy I interviewed, another judge. He taught me this a long time ago. Because we can't count punches when we're watching the fight. Like if I was to ask you after the 12th round, you may have said Usyk may have landed more, but you wouldn't have really thought that he landed a lot more. So what I do is I look at the time in the round, and I look at who's controlling the time. So in round 2, there really wasn't a lot going on in the first minute. So that kind of cancels itself out. So then I take the second 2 minutes, right? And Usyk was busier. But I thought in round two, Fury landed, as you say, the more impactful shots. I thought towards towards this, like Usyk's minute, he won on activity. Fury won his minute, I think, with more substantive blows. So based on that, I could make an argument for Fury maybe getting that round. I didn't give it to him though. I didn't. Round 12 was the same way, where the first minute, nothing was going on. Then Usyk had a good minute. Then Fury had a good third minute. And that's where I'm not going to say he hurt Usyk, but he buzzed him a few times with a couple body shots, and he buzzed him a few times with a couple right hands. So that's why that round is on the table. The punch, again, you look at the punch stat, you're like, wow, okay. But we're talking about clean, effective punching. And that's why all three judges did score that round in round 12 for Fury, because again, you look at Usyk's work in the second minute and you look at Fury's work in the third minute. Fury's work in the third minute, I thought, was more impactful than Usyk's. So next time again, I'm just giving you advice. You don't have to take it if you don't want to. When you watch a fight, right? Look at the. You're not going to sit there and watch the clock. Obviously, you got to watch the fight. But glance down at the round, the time in the round every now and then, and say to yourself, how much of the round is so and so controlling, and how much of the round is so and so control. So in close rounds, when not a lot's being done, then you can look at how much time in the round did fighter A control, how much time in the round did fighter B control, and were there enough substantive blows to erase the activity? Because sometimes a lot of people make this mistake. Like in the Bradley Pacquiao fight in round one, I gave that to Bradley, but Pacquiao supposedly landed a left hand and Bradley staggered, but he didn't really land the punch on Bradley's chin. He actually landed on Bradley's shoulder, and I saw it real time. I didn't think it landed, but Harold Lenneman like, oh, and like Jim Lampley had an orgasm. Oh, what a left hand! And Harold Lenneman actually gave that round to Pacquiao because of that one sequence. Same thing in Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez, round two. I watched that round two 1,000 times. Even my brother, who's a casual, and he watched that round. Teddy Atlas, Andre Ward gave that round to Lomachenko because of that one flurry at the end. What about the 2 minutes and 30 seconds? Did that one flurry erase the 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the round that Teofimo Lopez had so much success? Now, if Teofimo Lopez was buckled and he almost hit the canvas, he fell into the ropes and the ropes held him up or whatever, then you can, well, if the ropes held him up, it would have been a knockdown. But say he kind of went into the ropes but didn't like fall backward, but he grabbed the rope to hold himself up, that's kind of an iffy thing. So then you can say, okay, that may have erased all that. But again, that's how I score rounds. I look at the time, right? I look at the time of control of one fighter as opposed to the other. And if one guy is controlling the time, more of the time, he's going to get the round.
So I do a mixture of everything. I look at who's being more active, who's controlling pace, distance, who's making the other person fight the fight they don't want to fight, and obviously who's scoring. But even if you look at this fight, right? So funny enough, I looked at all the punch stats, and while I don't always take stock in those because they don't tell you everything, you can get a general gauge of how things play out. Right. So in this, Tyson Fury outlanded Usyk 8 out of the 12 rounds in jabs. Usyk outlanded in total punches, and this isn't even percentages because his percentages were higher than Tyson Fury's throughout the entire fight. But in percentages, he outlanded Fury in 7 of the 12 rounds overall, and he outlanded him in power punches in 8 of the 12 rounds. So when you look at those stats, plus you look at what we saw with him constantly on the front foot, Fury primarily always on the back foot, fighting in spurts, maybe backing up Usyk here and there, but Usyk still coming forward. And you see the stats and you see how the fight plays out round by round. That's also one of those metrics where I say, how does someone manage to find 7 rounds to give Tyson Fury? 6 is a stretch, but I've let that one slide because, as I said, there's 2 swing rounds where I'm prepared to accept if someone gives those even though I don't agree, but I'm prepared.
You don't think
But
round
then
2 was a swing round, though?
no, I
You
think
think
round
rounds 3 and
and
12?
12. I think
Mike
those are the
Montero and Steve Kim said the same thing you said. I
yeah.
actually, yeah, okay.
Those are I think round 2 was a clear round for Usyk. Round 3, I can understand if people gave it to Fury, but I didn't think he did enough for that. The only other round which I guess some other people thought was a swing round was round 7. But I thought that was a clear Fury round, but other people have said they thought that was
all 3 judges gave it to Fury. So.
yeah. I thought that was a clear Fury round, but I know Ring IQ gave it to Usyk. So I've seen it and it's competitive, but I thought that was clear on his part. So like I said, it's not so much the closeness of the scoring that's my issue, but it's the fact that someone can try and say that they found 7 rounds to give to Tyson Fury. There's people at ringside that said that Tyson Fury won 5 of the first 6 rounds, and they had him 5-1 up after 6, 6-1 up after 7, and then basically had him obviously down up until the 12th. So to give him, and I'm like, you couldn't have seen all of that for him because he wasn't working enough to have all of those rounds.
Gareth gave Tyson Fury 5 of the first 6.
Yeah, you see, and that's a reason why I have no time for Gareth A. Davis.
He's a little biased towards Fury.
100%. The only other thing that I would say with regards to when you say, oh, actually, before I get to that, let me be respectful. Shout out to G-Man. Thank you very much. What have I missed? Salute to base. Yeah, so just to give you a quick summary, me and Joe are having a debate just about the fight, the scoring, the rounds. G-Man also had it scored 111, 116 to Usyk, same as me. I literally saw his video before I jumped on this stream. Yeah. So shout out to G-Man. Yeah, we're just having a debate, breaking down certain things. The only other thing is when you say, if I choose to look at this as a fraud, then it's denigrating Usyk's victory. Well, for me, the reason I say no to that, and the reason I will push back, is because it's not about this particular fight in its isolation why I'm saying he's a fraud. Oh, you see, he was never that good. Look, he can't beat the middleweight. That's not the reason. Like, if you look at my whole series of this quote unquote history of fraud thing, it's about fraudulent statements he makes, acting one way, doing something else, being a hypocrite.
Floyd Mayweather's a hypocrite too, but he's a great fighter. Yeah,
but Floyd Mayweather hasn't. Because he's retired before I started this channel, I don't need to worry about him. The exhibitions don't count. When I'm talking about fraud, I'm talking about everything that you say that you stand for, the accolades you claim to have, but you haven't proved any of these accolades in the ring. That's why when it gets to something like this, to me, Usyk was I would have given Tyson Fury big props if he had won this fight, because I always picked Usyk to beat him. The same way how when I picked, obviously initially when I picked Dillian Whyte to beat Tyson Fury before, it was like 2 years before the fight took place, but I gave Fury all the props because I picked Dillian to beat him. So he got more props for delivering against my prediction. Whereas Usyk, I already knew he was the best. As far as I'm concerned, I had no wavering thought ever that Fury could beat him.
You were consistent with that.
Yeah, and because of that,
you always thought Usyk could beat Joshua too. I mean, you've been consistent with that.
Yeah. So when it comes to those, even though all he's doing to me is just cementing in my mind how good he really is, because he's just going and delivering on my promises, on my assumptions. So it doesn't bring him up or down in my estimation. The only difference with this one is because of such a vast size difference, even if Fury isn't the guy that I believe him to be, which I don't, I've always been consistent to say I think he's good, but I think he's majorly overhyped. I've never thought he's as good as everyone else made out, and he's not taken the tests in the ring outside of Klitschko 8 years ago or 7-8 years ago, and these Wilder fights when Wilder wasn't even that guy in the first place. Wilder was a smokescreen fighter as far as I'm concerned.
Very dangerous fighter though, right, Base?
He was dangerous with he was dangerous, but he was very limited.
There was a threat there, right?
There was a small threat there.
No, the threat is first fight. There was a major threat. No,
but in the first fight, the major threat was the fact that Fury wasn't in shape. Realistically, if we're being honest, because
was that impressive what Fury did coming off that layoff?
Yeah, no, in that first fight, I obviously I don't have videos to show it, but I said my prediction for the fight was that Fury was going to be outboxing him for about 4 or 5 rounds, making Wilder look stupid, and then because he hasn't got the right conditioning, Wilder would be able to land a shot and probably and knock him out and basically take a hollow victory off of a guy that's not even fully back, and he's basically running from Joshua. And he's trying to take the easy way to the paydays. That's what I said.
Cherry pick on wrong.
Yeah, that's how I looked at it. So when obviously Tyson did,
you gotta give him credit for that first fight.
No, so what I'm saying, so when Tyson did what he did, he went up in my estimation because he's come back from the layoff after this Klitschko thing, and he's taken his challenge outside of being in condition. So then after that, we got the Tom Shorts and the Varlin. Now I knew who Varlin was. I knew who Shorts was. I was one of the only people that did. But my issue, and obviously that part of that was maybe the Top Rank, they wanted to reintroduce him to the American. But I'm like, okay, but now you're going back to taking the path of least resistance. Nearly backfires against Varlin. Schwartz wasn't him, but Varlin, I knew that he was a good enough pro. And Fury, again, up and down, not consistent. But then he goes and does what he does to Wilder in the next fight. And I actually predicted that he'd knock out Wilder in the second fight. I predicted it. So I was expecting that to happen. But then after that, another year plus in he's got the belt now, but now he's got the belt. Oh, all of a sudden he's turned Hollywood. And everything that he claimed he stood for in the rebrand, the mask is starting to slip, the veil starting to slip. He's going back to his old ways. He's now ducking challenges. There's people that he should have been fighting before. When he fought Varlin, no, not even Varlin, Schwartz. He should have fought Dillian White then. They had that whole WBC. He said, look, put the diamond belt on the line, I'll fight him. They said, we'll put the belt on the line. He goes off and fights Schwartz instead. So he started doing this path of least resistance thing, not wanting to take fights, trying to be strategic. Then the whole AJ thing. To this day, forgetting whether he would have beat AJ or not, he probably could have. I've always picked AJ to beat him personally, but I've felt like he never really wanted to fight AJ. He just wanted to have his name associated with him. And then to me, there was a lot of things that they done in that time where he constantly was he was just using AJ's name to make his bigger and to almost claim victories for AJ that he hadn't earned. And then even after, when AJ lost the second fight to Usyk, and I always come back to this, and it tells me, this is what said to me, this man is a real charlatan. He went in the video, the TikTok video, the Instagram video, he said, before I announce who I'm fighting next, I have to do this. AJ, I'm challenging you to a fight in September a fight in Wembley, November, whatever. Like, you can get a shot at the WBC title. You ain't never held it before, etc. I know you just come off of this feat, but let's get it. And I'm saying to myself, this guy's literally just come off of his second loss in a row. You're calling him out knowing that fight can't happen, like, just so that you can then, I offered him, he didn't want to fight me. He comes back, calls you a bluff, and then all of a sudden everything is emergency and mandatory deadlines. And then you go and fight Derek Chisora, who has the exact same management team as him. You actually then fight him 3 weeks later than the deadline date that you gave to Anthony Joshua in the exact same arena. Or actually, no, sorry, it was Tottenham Hotspur, he did it, but yeah, it would have been Wembley. But my whole point is, all of this stuff tells me that you at this point are not really, like, you're not that guy. You're not acting like a man a man who is the best of this era, because you ain't trying to fight the best of this era. Then we get the Usyk situation. Now, regardless of however that breaks down, that fight was delayed 3 times due to Tyson Fury, and I believe 1 time due to Usyk right at the very start. But you look at that and you say, okay, so now are you trying to age this guy out, or are you really just not wanting to take this challenge? Until it got to the point where you was offered so much money, you couldn't turn it down. Then we get the thing with the Francis Ngannou fiasco. Then, okay, so the fight gets pushed back from October to December, from December to February. Then we get the cut eye thing. I'm not suggesting he cut his eye on purpose, but it's just fortuitous when people said he needs more time. He needs more time. His dad said in the media before he needs more time, and then I don't think he's not in his best shape right now. Then all of a sudden, miraculously, the cut happens and the fight's pushed back a further 3 months. Again, I'm not saying that the cut wasn't legit, but all I'm saying is all of that stuff then says, wow, it looks a certain way. It looks how it looks. And then you get to all of that to them, this whole guy who, oh, no one cares about them in the East. The belts belong in the West with a Brit or an American. Like they don't with the Eastern Europeans that no one speaks their language. All of the xenophobic stuff, all of the little gap tooth middleweight rabbit. I'm gonna beat up this Ukrainian like I beat up the last one. I'm doing it for El Britannia, even though no one asked him to. All of that stuff, making all of these claims to then, basically get beat up around the ring for the majority of that fight, in my opinion, and definitely conclusively get outfought and outpunched in the 9th round by this little 6'3", 220-pound man that you think can't punch. All of that to me is where I then say, yeah, the fraudulence stacks up. So even though I'm not saying that he wasn't good, I'm saying he's been overhyped from the day one. He's never been the best of this generation or the potential best of this generation to me.
He's not great, Base?
I don't think he's great. No, I think he's good. I think put it this way, this is what I want to ask you.
If you have 1,800 professional fighters and you're in the top 2, or even top 3, you're not great.
But here's my pushback to that scenario. We don't know how good he is because he didn't take enough of the necessary tests to put that into play. That's the first thing. Other people have got more solid bodies of work to tell us exactly where they are, whereas he has always tried to take the path of least resistance until he really absolutely had to. That's one thing. So when we say he's top 2, top 3, he probably was, but I can't 100% account for that. That's the first thing. But outside of that, what I'm going to ask you, if he wasn't quote unquote 6'9" with an 85-inch reach and pretty decent movement for a man of his size, how great would he be? Based on just his skills that you've seen throughout his career, from his best performances with Chisora in the second fight, the Klitschko fight, the second Wilder fight, and any other performances you think were great. Take away 3 inches of height on him and 2 inches of reach, 3 inches of reach. How great do you think he'd be? And that to me tells me exactly where he would sit.
Base, you know what? People ask me these types of questions all the time. And you know what the problem? This is what's called the comparison fallacy. Because fighters base their styles on their physical dimensions. So when you say Mike Tyson, if he was 6'5" and had an 86-inch reach, would he have fought the same style of fighting? So fighters adapt their style to their physical dimensions. So to me, being 6'9", right, being that tall and long, and still being able to move the way he moves, and still being as coordinated as he is, and still being as versatile as he is, and still being able to fight on the inside effectively or clinch fighting. I know people don't like to call it. To be able to do all those things at that size, most fighters can't do that. So by being able to do what he does at being 6'9", at being 265 pounds, at having that reach, and still being able to be nimble like that and move like that, 100% that makes him great. Now, if he was 3 inches taller, if he was 6'6", 3 inches shorter, would he still be? I think that you can make an argument his style wouldn't change much. Now, if he was 5'11", of course his style would. Then he would be a entirely different fighter. So when this is why I don't like the pound for pound argument, because if everyone was the same size. Well, if everyone was the same size, not everyone wouldn't be like Crawford. If Crawford was 6'2" and he weighed 180 pounds, he wouldn't fight the same way he fights at his height and weight that he is now. So again, going back to what I said, fighters base their styles based off of their physical dimensions. So that's like saying if Shaq wasn't 7 feet, 280, Would he be able to bang people around down in the paint? Well, I mean, you got to deal with what you are. Let me ask you this: have you ever seen a guy as big as Tyson Fury move as well as Tyson Fury?
Well, there's not many 6'9" guys in the game, but
Does
one
Klitschko
person
move?
is close.
Does Klitschko move as well as him? Does
He
he have
moved well in his earlier years. He did. He moved quite well in his earlier years. You know
as
who I
good
would
as
say
him?
he moves?
As good as him, though. As good as him.
Not if peak for peak, no,
Did
but
Riddick Bowe move
close.
as well as him? Did he have the footwork, foot movement? Did he
He
move?
had, he had very good movement. He didn't have the in and out stuff, but he had very
Was,
good movement.
was he as
Do you
good
know
as
who I
Fury?
think looks?
Go ahead.
Not what's his name? Bakadir Jalalov moves very well. So does Ivan Daichko. They're both 6'7" and 6'8".
Okay. But going back to these other guys, like you have to admit, Fury being able to do what he does at his size is pretty impressive, no?
He's got there's impressive features about Fury and his game. Again, I've never said Fury's shit. I've never said he's rubbish. I've said he's
You called him a
overrated.
fraud. You could just call him a fraud.
Yeah, I called him a fraud on many occasions.
That's the equivalent of calling somebody shit.
No, it's not, because you can be a fraud. You don't have to be shit to be a fraud. He's a fraud because of a lot of things that he's done. Like, not just the hypocritical saying one thing and talking another, but even within the ring, what I'm saying is there's so many things that we don't know how good he really was, because he wasn't fighting certain types of people. He was picking people that were tailor-made for him. Now, obviously, that's most people want to do that. That's what every boxer in the world is gonna try to pick their perfect style matchup to make them look the absolute best. I get that, but when you're doing that not as the champion, that's one thing. Okay, you do what you want. Again, remember when we talked about the Ngannou thing? The one thing I said to you wasn't always I had no issue with the Ngannou fight. It's the fact that you are WBC champion, haven't defended the belt in over a year coming up, or near enough a year. The last time you defended it was against Derek Chisora in a trilogy nobody needed to see. So realistically, you haven't had a spirited defense, shall we say, in almost a year, in almost 20 months at this point. And then your first fight coming back is him when you hold a belt. That was always my issue. I always said, if you didn't have the belt, fight as many Ngannous as you want. Do what you want. Tour the world. I'm not going to hold anything against you. But when you're holding up the division, acting, or saying, I'm the greatest ever, why do I need to fight this person because you already know I'll beat them? Well, clearly, no, that's not the case, because look what happened. You said that, oh, I'll beat up this middleweight. There's no way he can beat me. No man born from his mother can beat me, X, Y, and Z. And then the guy that had every single physical disadvantage to you put the beating on you and won the fight against all odds, against the establishment. Then that's where you say, okay, so there's some fraudulence here, because you didn't want to take certain fights because you probably knew that you could be beat, but you were happy letting your fans say, well, why does he need to fight him? We already know he's going to win. That's the issue. So that's why when we say we don't want to hear about, oh, well, imagine what he would have done to. No. Let him get in the ring and prove it, because that's what happened yesterday.
So Fury doesn't get. So you're on the Hall of Fame panel. Fury's gonna be on the ballot.
Yeah.
You're not gonna vote him in.
I wouldn't. Me personally, this is me with possibly a bit of an agenda. I would vote him in.
Oh, you just said you had an agenda. Bitch.
No, I said possibly with a bit of an agenda.
You can't incriminate yourself. This is on camera, please.
No, this is fine. Look, this is already called the history of fraud, the fall of fraud. So people already know that there's going to be an agenda.
I don't want you to incriminate yourself.
No, that's fine. But listen to what I'm about to say. Okay, I would vote him in, but he's not getting in first ballot. I'm not putting him in first ballot.
But I don't think he's going in first ballot.
Though, he might be, but that's not my choice, because I don't think his resume is strong enough to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He'll get into the Hall of Fame, but to me, I don't think he's first ballot. I don't think he deserves that.
Him and AJ are both getting in first ballot. You know that, right?
To be honest, if out of the two of them, to me, AJ has a bit more of an argument for first ballot.
AJ's been more consistent
because he's been more consistent, and obviously the Olympics as well. The amateur background, there's more there. to say that there's more reason. But even him, I don't know if I would give him a first ballot Hall of Fame yet. Me personally.
Not to pivot, because I hate doing this, because I don't like talking about the finance part, because I hate
Uh-huh.
politics. But the reason why AJ is on the is right there with Canelo on the Forbes list is for one reason and one reason only. He fought 3 times, because it goes from May 1st of 2003 to May 1st of 2024.
Yeah.
He fought 3 times. None of these big names fought 3 times in 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
AJ's a hot. One thing I never take away from AJ, he's always in shape, and he's consistent with his schedule. Usyk, since he's turned heavyweight, has only fought 1 time a year. You know that, right?
Yeah.
1 time a year. No, I'm not.
A lot of those weren't his fault, to be fair. And if let's not forget, AJ was only fighting once a year up until last year, because it was once a year for him as well from 2020.
Take away the pandemic base, and AJ's been pretty consistent with the 2 times a year.
Yeah, there 2 times. But I'm saying 2020, 2021, 2022, he only fought 1 time each year then as well. Remember, Usyk was supposed to fight more, but things that he kept getting pushed back, because whereas AJ, you got to remember, bear this in mind, the only time AJ has now been able to fight 3 or 4 times a year, or 3 times in a calendar year, is when there's been no belts or any politics to hold him up. Usyk's had to deal with the politics because he was chasing the belts. He didn't care about the legacy. He wanted legacy from belts, not for money.
Yeah. And the problem with Usyk too is he never had and again, no disrespect, he never had like an Eddie Hearn or a Bob Arum.
Yeah.
And he never had like and the reason why those guys are very, very incremental, in someone's career is because they have the big television deals, or the big platform deals. With all due respect to Alex Crusher, he doesn't have a big television deal, but he can still get big fights for his fighter. So would you argue that Fury eventually, because Fury did fight Usyk, does any of that other stuff matter now? Because he gave you him and Usyk both gave you the undisputed fight, something that hasn't happened in 25 years. AJ wasn't able to do it. Wilder wasn't able to do it. Fury was able to do it. And I would argue gave Usyk his toughest fight in his whole career.
Joe, can I just correct you on one thing? You just said there, AJ wasn't able to do it. Deontay Wilder didn't want to do it. I think we have to. I
agree with that. 100%.
Thank you. All right.
Fair.
Right.
So, would you agree that Tyson Fury gave Usyk the toughest fight of his career?
I actually think his toughest fight came from Bradus, but I will concede it's in the top 3. It might be tough. It might be top 3. It might be his toughest, but I think Bradus was the hardest.
Okay, you can make an argument Bradus was.
Yeah.
But according to the scorecards, this was a split decision. Well, I get Joshua.
That was a split as well.
Joshua was a split too. All right, fair enough.
I think in terms of toughest fights,
you can make an argument Bradus was.
Yeah. For me, I think it's Bradus. Then I think it's possibly this one, and then I think it's Joshua 2. Even actually no, because I still had that 9-3 to 9-4 to Usyk. I don't even know what the third one might be.
You can make an argument this could have been his, because Bradus didn't hurt him like Fury hurt him. Fury hurt him. Fury hurt him in this, and then
I'll give you that.
Busted him up a little bit. So Fury gave him arguably gave him his toughest.
But wasn't he supposed to be in 6 inches taller with 7-inch reach advantage and 40 pounds heavier? He's supposed to, realistically, right?
But once again, that just enhances this victory for Usyk. You don't.
Like I said, to me,
gotta build. If you tear Fury down, you're tearing down this. I'm telling you, Base.
As I said, to me,
to be great, you have to be other great fighters.
I understand that, but my point is, because he's just doing what I expect him to do, it doesn't raise him up much higher in my estimation.
Was this a close fight, Base?
No, I don't think it was close. I think it was competitive. I don't think it was close. I think it was clear and obvious who the winner was.
Could this have been 6-6, 7-5 in rounds?
To me, 6-6, no. 7-5, I will
You
curtail
just
to
said
that
it.
just for the sake
You
of it.
just said earlier it could have been 6.
No, I said that I would, if someone told me 113, 114 to Usyk, I'm not gonna go up in arms about it, even though I disagree. I don't
You
see 6 rounds.
almost chopped my head off this afternoon because I had
No,
it
you see, here's the
114.
difference. No, you see, the difference is this afternoon, I couldn't get on here and actually explain what I'm saying because obviously I was indisposed. I wasn't in a position to do so.
Fair enough.
And my issue wasn't your scorecard as such. It was that as I said, the fix was in. Should that, if Usyk didn't basically take it out of the judge's hands, that was more the thing. And I said I can't see where you got your scorecard. Same as I said to Rob Tebbett, I don't agree with your scorecard. I know that I understand.
What about Gareth?
Oh fuck Gareth. I'm not even trying to be politically correct about that. And anytime he sees me in person, he knows not to talk to me. We've had that dialogue before. So
I actually spoke to him one time on FaceTime because Maestro was somewhere with it where he was at.
yeah.
I forget what fight it was, and he was talking to me on FaceTime, and he was quite pleasant. I got to give him credit. I mean, he's a nice guy. I don't know him personally, but
Everyone keeps telling me he's a lot better. No, I've seen him. He's not as bad as I just don't like him. There's people I just don't like.
The thing about you, Base, is if someone crosses you, there's no middle ground. There's no turning.
It's very rarely. Sometimes you can pull it back, but some people I just don't like their character. He seems nice to everyone. He's a pleasant person, but I just don't take to him. It's that simple.
So, would it be fair to say that if Tyson Fury did, if there wasn't all these shenanigans that went along with Tyson Fury, you would probably think more highly.
I'd think higher of him, 100%.
So a lot of his outside antics and his personality and the way he carries himself, you're punishing him skill wise because of that. Would that be fair?
No. I'm not punishing him skill wise because of it. What I'm saying is that there's talent. He's very talented. I've never said that he's not, but I don't know to what level. And anyone who wants to tell me that he's this generational great, I have an issue with that because he's never, to me, as far as I'm concerned, he hasn't proved it. 2 great victories. Oh, actually, let's say 1 because I can't count the Wilder stuff because I didn't rate Wilder that high.
But context is key.
Okay, contextually, 2 big victories, 2 very big victories. Yeah, that to me isn't enough to tell me how great you are. There needs to be a bit more. I will give him credit for Dillian White. No one else wants to. I've given him credit for Dillian White. And again, I told you why, because I picked Dillian. So I have to give him credit for beating him. But I also concede that wasn't the Dillian of 2 years prior that I think was the one that would have beaten him when I first announced it. So there's that. So you've got those, but in between there's a lot of knockover jobs. Let's be honest. And to the person with all of your skills and abilities and your talents, you've got a Derek Chisora in there that didn't need to be there. You've got a Tom Schwartz in there. Wallin, I ain't got a problem with that because I knew who he was. I knew that it was a tougher assignment. The Wilder 3, okay, fair enough. You couldn't get out of the contract, but ultimately, you two was basically in that locked in anyway, trying to take the limelight away from AJ. That was the whole plan concocted, and you survived. To be fair, you did that. So fair enough, fair play to you. So there's that. But then obviously you get the Francis Ngannou's and that stuff, and you're like, all you're doing now is you're taking the path of least resistance because even you don't believe that you're him. Because let's be very clear. Anthony Joshua fought Francis Ngannou, and we can't unsee that. However, when that fight was first brought to him, what did he say? That's a clown show. Yeah, I'm not interested in that. Then he did what he done to Tyson Fury, and all of a sudden he got legitimized by the boxing. Like, oh, well, he could be a threat. Okay, cool. All right, so now it's not a clown show anymore. This is an active thing. He's a professional boxer. Cool, let me deal with that. Bang, out of there. And now his next fight is looking for either a title or he's back to sort of that top 5, top 10 competition. That's not what Fury's been doing. And that's always been the issue. So yes, I've always said he's good. But again, good and overrated can coexist. Good and fraud, highly skilled, highly scored.
Great and overrated can coexist.
Great, great and overrated. Okay, yes, fine. Highly skilled and fraudulent can coincide. All of
But he's
these
not
can
fraudulent.
coexist.
He's not fraudulent in the ring, though, is he?
Well, I mean, look at how many of these lackluster performances he's had.
Was this a lackluster performance?
It wasn't great. It was a good performance. It wasn't a brilliant one. It wasn't one of
Hey,
his best.
this wasn't a great performance by
Was
Fury.
this as good as as good as his Derek Chisora 2 performance? That to me is his best performance he's ever displayed in the ring. Was
That's
it as
great.
good as that?
Well, again, Chisora is not Usyk, though.
He's
So
not, but we're talking about his before. You're saying performances, so we're rating them based on how he looked.
I'm gonna be honest with you. And again, context is key with me, right? In my opinion, this was probably his third best performance of his career. I'll put the Klitschko fight number one, Wilder 2 fight number 2, and this is the third best.
So you say the Chisora one is what, number 4?
Number 4.
So this one is number 2, you said, or is this number 1?
I would say this is probably his third best performance, but this is the best fighter he's ever fought. So
that okay, yes, I'll give you that. But okay, so imagine that now. So if we're talking about this is his third best performance, so let's actually look at that. This is his third best performance, and he damn near got knocked out in the 9th round. So
but Base,
I understand. No, hold on, wait. One second. I know what you're about to say, but when we look at that, normally when someone has like their career best performance, they don't nearly get stopped. They know, and if they're over a certain level, they ascend and they basically show their difference between the two.
Usyk was really hurting round 6 too, Base.
He might have been, but he didn't nearly get stopped in round 6. He wasn't out on his feet. He wasn't getting pinged around the ring. He didn't fall over.
Did it look like? No, he didn't. It was nowhere near in comparison.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So when you look at none of Usyk's best performances, do you look at them and say, "Wow, he was really on the verge of getting knocked out there"? Like none of Anthony Joshua's best performances, do you say, "Boy"? Even the Klitschko one weren't one of the best. Like it was his launch pad, but it wasn't one of his best. But you look at that and you say, any of his best performances, that doesn't happen to you.
That was a great performance from AJ.
It was a great play. It wasn't one of the top 3.
Oh, I give that one of the top 3. Again, I base it off level of competition base. You got to factor in the competition. It's not if I run a marathon, right? And then I run a marathon with a backpack on me with a 10-pound weight in my back, in the backpack, and I get a relatively comparable speed, not as great of the speed as the one without the backpack on. You got to factor in the backpack. I'm doing a harder task there. So everything based on the task, like Usyk is the best fighter Fury has ever fought, and to win 5 or 6 rounds, take away the 9th round because you got to score round by round base.
Mm-hmm.
Take away the 9th round. Now you could argue Usyk's rounds were, I don't know, like Fury won some pretty big rounds too. Like round 6 was a big round for Fury, but it wasn't comparable to round 9, obviously. But if you just look at the totality of that fight, and you're saying Fury could have won 5 or 6 rounds, and it was a close fight on the scorecards. All 3 judges had it close, right? Then
yeah, but again, bias. How much do we think of their scorecards were?
But even 115 and 112, 114 and 113, right? What those guys are from? One guy's from Canada, one guy's from Spain, another guy's from the United States. They're probably not going back to the United States again. Excuse me, they're not going to Saudi Arabia again. So what difference does it make? You know what I mean? Like how biased? Now that judge that gave it to Fury, maybe he had that subconscious A-side bias. But 114, 113 is not an outrageous scorecard base. 115 and 112 is not an outrageous scorecard. It's not. I just think it was a close fight. Paulie Malignaggi, like everyone said it was a close fight. Even people that thought Fury, like Holyfield said it was a close fight. Lennox Lewis said it was a close fight. Even what's his name? Alex Krutchik said it was a close fight, and he's the fucking promoter of Usyk. He said it was a close fight.
You know, most of the people that said it was a close fight are the ones that picked Fury to win. I just want to put that out there.
No, that's
No,
not
I said
true.
most. I didn't say all. I said most.
No, because Paulie Malignaggi, Chris Algieri.
No, but Paulie picked Fury to win the fight, and so did Chris Algieri. I watched when they did that on Pro Box TV. They both picked Fury.
Algieri did too.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said he thinks Usyk will be winning the fight, but Fury will come strong towards the end.
I mean, I thought the right man won. I hate getting in these arguments about the scorecards because I think it takes away from the greatness of a fight, but I don't know.
All right. Well, look, listen, Joe. We agree on some things. The things that we disagree on is fine for us to disagree on because it's
so the fight wasn't close. The fight wasn't close at all.
I think the fight was competitive. I don't think it was close. Okay. That's my stance. I had it 111, 116. To me, that's 8 rounds to 4. That's not close. That's just competitive.
Okay.
There was Fury had moments. Usyk had bigger moments, so and Usyk showed the difference in levels between the two of them, in my opinion. And maybe, what we need to see is Tyson Fury in there with more of the top 10-ish type guys to see how much his skills actually translate to them. Because thus far, there hasn't been that many of them for us to gauge. Yes, he's got certain talents, and maybe now he's at the back end. Maybe he can't do what he used to do, and maybe that's one of the big issues here. Because people say the best version of Tyson Fury beats Alexander Usyk. Well, guess what? I think we saw the best version. I think we saw the best version of Tyson Fury in the ring.
We're not going to.
I think that's the best version he can be right now.
No, I agree. We're not going to be able to turn back the clock to the Klitschko days. Here's one advantage Joshua has over both these guys. He's 33. He's still got about 3 more years left in him.
No, he's 34 now.
Did he turn 34 yet?
Yeah, he turned 34 last year.
Are you sure?
Yeah, he's 34.
Right. Well, he's the youngest out of this crop, right?
Yeah.
He has about 2 or 3 more good years left in him. As great as Usyk is, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to hit the wall, but he could hit the wall. He could start turning around. Fury versus Joshua is a pick 'em right now. You'd probably pick Joshua right now, but it's a pick.
I think Joshua. I've always think stylistically, Joshua actually knocks him out. The power is something that he's got good movement. He's explosive. A lot of the stuff Fury does, I don't think it's going to bother Joshua as much. The clinching, the dirty infighting, Joshua. He couldn't really do it with Ngannou. And when Joshua was in the clinches with Ngannou, he was holding his own. So I don't think there's strength difference. I don't think Fury's got the strength for him. He may have had before when he had a bit more muscle on him, but now he just looks a bit like he looks over fleshy, even though he's slimmed down. I don't think he can do the same things.
Joshua could win this fight against Fury right now.
I think he will. Personally, I think if they fight, I think Joshua knocks him out clean.
Could Joshua beat Usyk right now? It's possible, right?
I mean, possible, maybe. But I wouldn't pick him.
He hurt Usyk a little bit in the second fight.
Only really with two shots. He hit him with 2 shots. One of them was low, and the other one, Usyk shrugged it off pretty quickly after he took it. He buzzed him, but yeah, obviously you're gonna get hit. You're gonna get hurt. But Usyk hurt Joshua a lot more than Joshua hurt Usyk in both fights.
Do you think Fury takes this rematch?
After that press conference, no. Him and Frank are talking about we'll see if we're even going to do the rematch. In the ring they said it's contracted. In the press conference they said something totally different.
Yeah, they weren't.
My suspicion,
but Usyk wasn't committed, was non-committal too, because again they both want to go home to their families. And
but Usyk said, look, I've been training 9 months consistently and I've missed so many things. I want to chill with my family, but ultimately he knows 8 October is still there. So he could probably go away for 2.5 months, 3 months, come back and train for 10 weeks because he keeps himself in decent shape. It's more of a disadvantage for Fury to have the time away than Usyk, because Usyk's always gonna stay in shape.
I said to D Style yesterday, I don't know if Fury's going to take the rematch, but then he kind of convinced me a little bit because the money's just going to be so great. It's hard to turn down the amount of money that, like, because that was a very good fight. I thought it was a great fight. I thought it was an entertaining fight. And there's going to be controversy because of that ninth round, and people are going to want to see, hey, can Usyk finish the job next time around? And Fury like thinks he won, and there's a few people that think very small minority of people that think Fury won, but then there's people that say, oh well, Fury did have that run arounds, maybe he could win the rematch, who knows? Like I think the buildup and there's a story now. I think because of the amount of money that it's going to be too hard for them to turn down this rematch.
I want the rematch. I do. I want it. I want it to be conclusive either way. If Fury feels that he was robbed, okay, come back and right the wrong. Maybe you get a trilogy later on down the line. Usyk can right the wrong of the potential knockdown or knockout that should have been given. But here's the thing: if we look at Fury's track record, how often do you ever get immediate rematches from him, and especially within
Yeah,
a timely fashion?
yeah. We had to wait for that Wilder rematch. We had to wait for
Nearly 18 months.
yeah. We got to go
So
by the track record. All right. Okay.
So I just don't see it happening. And what the only thing that I can potentially see more than anything, because you got to remember, Usyk can't even go and fight Hergovich to try and hold on to his undisputed if he wanted to, because that order's going to come down in a couple of weeks. That rematch clause is going to be in place for at least 3 months. They might wait 2 months and then or 3 months, then decide actually we'll do it at a later date, or we no longer want to take it. So I could potentially see Usyk saying, because he can't defend the undisputed title, he won't ever get a chance to defend it. I could actually see him saying, you know what, I wanted to carry on till I'm 40, but I'm going to take a break. I'm going to retire. Oh, I'm going to take a break for now.
I think if Usyk retired tomorrow, that would be a great move for him. But
Yeah, I think he might take a break, get rid of all of the belts, and then maybe just go away and possibly come back in like 2 years' time, just to see if he's still got it. Do something like that. Because again, for me, the only thing I would want to do now is to prove that I'm not just, it wasn't a fluke, I'm undisputed. I want to actually be on this. I want to defend this. I want to prove that I'm the best. So let me defend it at least once and then go about my business. Because he can't defend the belt, it might be a good idea to just, okay, leave on the high, because it's not going to get better than this. It can't get better for him. Doesn't matter.
Can they do a third Joshua fight?
They could do, but again, I don't think that one. The only way I can see the third Joshua fight happening is if Tyson Fury decides he doesn't want to take this rematch. Joshua fights in September against for the, what's it called, the IBF, and then Usyk can say, all right, I'll fight you in February next year, February next year, and we go again undisputed, all the belts that way. And then after that, obviously, then the sanctioning bodies can start putting down the rest of their mandates or whatever. That's the only way I could see that fight happening again, because I don't think that realistically, I don't think he would be interested in a third Joshua fight unless the money was stupid, because he's already 2-0 up. Like, even if Joshua wins that third fight, he still beat him twice. Like, he's still up on the scorecards.
That's what I'm trying to say.
So that's more for Joshua's benefit than his. It's not like, oh, it's 1-on-1 and now you got to run it back to see who's the guy. I've proved I'm the guy.
Would the British people get behind that?
They get behind it because obviously they'd want to see, they need a hero to obviously come out and with some glory. That's what they would do, and I can understand it.
Would you be rooting for Joshua to win that fight?
I don't root for anyone to win. I give my prediction of who I think's going to win.
Yeah,
even in Fury and Usyk,
you were rooting for Usyk a little bit.
No, here's the difference. While I gave reasons why it's better for Usyk to win the fight, I just gave my prediction. If whoever won the fight at the end of it, I'm not invested like that.
Okay.
So I don't. That's one thing I don't do, because I feel like, especially if I'm going to be scoring, I don't root for anybody, because if I'm rooting, there's an inherent bias in what I'm about to do. So I just give my prediction. Even if I like someone, I like Usyk more than I like Fury in terms of boxing and character and whatnot. But in the fight, if I truly believe Tyson Fury would win, I will pick him, and I'm gonna score it as if I pick him. So
now, I can root for a guy, like, for instance, every time Tank Davis fights, I want him to lose. I don't like Tank Davis, but I don't think he's going to lose to Frank Martin. But if I'm scoring that fight, I'm going to be objective, because
I hear that.
I don't like Like I wanted Fury to win in the Ngannou fight because I obviously wanted the undisputed, but I thought Ngannou beat him by a point. Actually,
Mm.
I scored it for Ngannou by a point.
And again, I scored it to Fury. So that's me being objective. As much as I would have been like, oh yeah, okay, Ngannou, but I scored it to him 95-94.
Well,
So
I
yeah,
scored it the other way, the same score.
but you had it 5-5 with the knockdown in it.
Correct.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right, Base.
No worries, Joe. Thank you very much. I'm going to let you jump off the stream. I'm going to carry on for another 10-15 minutes and interact with the chat. But
All right.
always a pleasure. I will be available for the round table if you need me on Monday, this week or next week.
You want to come on this week?
Yeah, bring me on. I'm available. I'm free.
All right. I'll tell D-Style. Okay.
All right.
This is the first time I've been on this channel, man. I mean,
It won't be the last.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Peace. All right, ladies and gentlemen. That lasted actually a lot longer than I was expecting it to, but me and Joe, that's the most in-depth conversation we've actually ever had, and I'm actually happy that we managed to have that. As I said, Joe's a great guy. We don't always agree, but it's always respectful, and we can always pick holes in each other's arguments, or at least add different contexts and different layers to each other's arguments. So with that, because I didn't obviously I wasn't able to go through the chat, so I'm going to try and go through a couple of comments, and especially I want to hail up everyone who's jumped in. At one point this stream had over 100 people watching. That to me is a first, so shout out to you and everyone who's joined in. Again, big ups to G-Man. I don't know if you're still in the building, but obviously the super chat very much appreciated. So I'm going to go back to the start of the stream and hail up everyone who jumped in. So stay blessed, be real. Shout out to you, Philip Answer, big up each and every time. Even Emmett Oliver, who tried to troll me, but it's fine because the channel's moving, and you came on, you gave me a view, you gave me a comment, so you're contributing to the growth of this channel. Thank you. Aaron Daly, shout out to you. Lee as well, shout out to you. Star Fox WR45E as well. James as well. You should have said Black People Time. As I said, apologies for how things ran. It's not my fault. Dan the Man, hardest working guy on Twittex, shout out to you. Yasmin Malik, shout out each and every time. Jonah 31 in the building. Sir Alex Ferguson, United View alum, shout out to you each and every time. Man like Starter in the building. Ahmed Ali as well. Ayoshi, big ups to you. Raymond Hells, another regular of the channel. Danny Amadu, shout out to you, Danny. Man like Raw, shout out to you. I saw you over there in Saudi, like living your best life. I hope you got some great content. Send me some links so that I can watch some of the stuff. I don't know what channel you was working for. Lee as well, big up. See who else is in the chat. Healer done for you, man are done for. Back in the building. Yeah, we you know what, there's gonna be a stream on Wednesday. You can come on that stream and obviously explain your position from last week, because you was definitely thinking Fury was gonna win. We ain't got time for you to come on today, but please join the stream on Wednesday. I want to hear from you. Oz, oh, shout out to you. 84 sounds good. I agree. That's how I had it. Reese Cooper in the building as well. Big ups to you. Thank you very much for jumping on the stream. Obviously we hail up G-Man yet again. Thank you very much for the super chat. Guy Fawkes. I need to go back and watch everyone's live streams around round 9. I've got G-Mans to go. I've got October Red. I've got Ring IQ, Boxing Beats and Rhymes. I might even do the Fight Disciples. I haven't decided on that one yet. But yeah, I just want to see how everyone looked in that round 9 when all that stuff started happening. Joshua Kunju Herrera, shout out to you. Cuz the motto in the building each and every time. Big ups, much appreciated for being here. Let's see who else. Alexander the Great, shout out to you. Definitely in the building. Virtuoso joined as well. Appreciate you, Virtuoso. Always good to see you in the building as well. I think that's most of the people that left comments. Just looking for the last little bits. I think I said Aaron Daly, but I'm going to say you again just in case. Actually, I did say, but yeah, you get double shouts out. Toots in the building, big ups to you. Let's see who else is around. Bob's in the building, shout out to you. Bruce Kai, man like BJJ Bruce, shout out to you. Thank you very much for being in the building. Yeah, it was a good chat with Joe. Who else is in here? I know I said Raymond before. Jam Down 187 came in, always fashionably late but always on time. Love that. Don't worry, we didn't even get to the proper fraudulent. You know what? On Wednesday, I think we're gonna do the continuation of this. This was the dissection of the fraudulence. On Wednesday, we're just gonna have fun. We're gonna go ham on this one. Javi Go, shout out to you. Thank you very much for being in the building. Tube Faddy, I ain't seen you around in a little while. Shout out. Lucan, big channel subscriber, big channel member. Thank you very much. Jazz Funk 22, big ups to you, and King Mufasa in the building. He says Fury should have won on points, but a different ref would have stopped it in round 9. Dangerous claim, but fair enough. Tone in the building as well. I think that's everyone that left comments. Yeah, it looks like it. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. All right, shout out. So yeah, shout out to everyone. So what I'm gonna do now is I've gone for a bit longer than I was expecting. Make sure I'm gonna upload the weekend wrap. I did it just before I done the broadcast, so it's gonna come out after I do the boxing debate show with October Red, Danny Glover and my show. That's taking place at 10 o'clock. Stream's about to get put up for that, so make sure you jump in. Make sure you jump in. Make sure you lock onto that. Yeah, we're gonna talk. We're gonna have a nice little balanced debate. No, we ain't, but you guys know. But look, shout out to each and every one of you. It's the Hardcore Casual. More content. There's a lot more stuff coming out this today. 2 more today on the channel. Gonna be some stuff tomorrow. Tuesday, probably not, because we've got a big breakdown to take care of. But Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, next week, or this week I should say, we go again. But until then, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you to all of the new subscribers. It's amazing. That's the Hardcore Casual out. But who better than me?